Let us be thankful for all that we have, especially for the lettuce. Good morning, everybody. It's Stephen here for Bland Designs, and welcome to my weekly vlog for Monday, September the 7th, 2020, vlog number 184, and it's day 180 of COVID isolation. So let's get right into things, and let's talk about what's behind me. I finally finished it. This is my Halloween wall hanging. There are 16 tiles. They call them tiles, each one of these areas in here. And each one took over 2 hours to machine embroider. It was a lot of work, a lot of thread, but I'm really happy with the end result. I added this border to it, and I did a simple blanket or pillowcase binding, and I just put a little purple fabric on the back. I didn't have to do any additional quilting like I thought I might have to get the layers to stay together, but this is small enough I didn't need to do it, which was just as well because the design of this, there is quilting, you can't see it, there's stippling in each one of these that the machine did itself, but it's not traditional in the sense that it comes through onto the backing fabric. So the backing fabric does not have any quilting on it, but that's okay. It's a wall hanging. Who's going to be looking at the back? And as long as the layers stay together, which it seems to be doing okay in this method that I've used, then that's great. So yep, I'm very pleased with this. Now I want to hang it up on my wall. And I mentioned last week that I bought this hanging system, which we still haven't taken out of the box and put up yet. When I say we, I mean Walter. I need his help to do it. But I do have an area for that, and once I get that up on the wall, I'll show you. And that's going to become my new display area for things like this, because I am also working on a similar type of wall hanging, only it's Christmas themed, and that's where I'm going to put it as well, over there. So my idea is when I get the new area set up, I'm going to switch out different small quilts in that area for display. And just as an aside, I haven't done anything about it yet, but we're working on a plan for creating more display space for my quilts. So when we get that figured out and get it done, whenever that will be, I'll be sure to show that to you as well. Okay, so that has taken up a lot of my time, but we're still working on some other Halloween things as well. So Walter made this. This is done in the hoop. It is a combination of applique and machine embroidery. And initially I bought the kit to do this. And I bought 2 of them actually. There's 2 haunted houses in this series. And he voiced an interest in trying to make one. So I said, sure, go ahead. So he made this one. And as you can see, they're very intricate. They're a lot of fun. A little skull hanging out the back window. And they are designed in such a way that there is a hole in the bottom and you can put a tea light in there, or in my case I have some colored LED lights that'll fit right in that little hole. I bought them last year at Christmas time for some other things I made that are kind of like this, only with a Christmas theme, and they work really well. Plus they come with a little remote control. They're battery powered. So my plan is he's making a second one of these, but it's a slightly different design. And I'm making what's called the Haunted Mansion. And the Haunted Mansion, I'll show you a picture of it because I just started it and it has about 20 pieces to go into it. But I do have a picture of it. Yep, this is what it looks like. It's bigger than these other houses are, very colorful. But I think it's going to look really great. So my plan is I'm going to put all 3 of these structures onto my coffee table upstairs and light them all up, and I'm going to add maybe some little tiny pumpkins that I can probably get at a dollar store or at Michael's, and maybe some fall foliage, and make a little display. Now this is not something I do, okay, but I love making these things and they deserve to be out on display. So what I mean when I say I don't usually do these kind of things, I don't decorate for holidays except for Christmas. And even that over the last few years has become a little less and less. Although mind you, last Christmas I put up more decorations than usual because I made a lot of decorations, as I said, on this line of of in the hoop embroidery. So I'm thinking of that, and I even have my coffee table upstairs is round, and it would be really cool if I could find some kind of turntable that ran off batteries and went around. I don't know if I can find anything like that. Actually, maybe I should be looking on Amazon. Note to self, look on Amazon and see. Just give me a second, I gotta write this down. Amazon. Revolving turntable. Yeah, we'll see. I get these ideas and I have to go looking for these things, and for some reason other people don't seem to readily make what I need. Okay, well, that's life. Okay, so that's also what's ironic about making all these Halloween decorations and things is, well, there's two things that are ironic this year. One, I'm not a big fan of Halloween. I don't like getting dressed up and doing all that, although I have done it, and you have seen pictures of that from last year and things like that. I have done it, but I'm really not that much into it. I could care less about giving candy out at the door. And this year, we may not be giving out too much, are we? I heard that candy makers are getting a little uptight about the whole COVID thing because they're afraid their candy sales are going to drop down. Actually, I have a feeling they're going to go up because there's still people working from home and things like that, and I think it's just an excuse for us all to go out and buy those big boxes of candies, and we're only going to have one or two. Yeah, does that ever happen? I never buy the Halloween candy too far in advance because I know what's going to happen. We're going to break into it. So I will probably be buying Halloween candy this year because just in case, you don't know, there could be a few kids come to the door, and whatever's left over, well, I'm sure it won't go to waste. Well, really? Okay, like I need it? No, I don't, but I like it. Okay, moving on. So, YouTube channel of the week. Now, this is a quilting channel, but it's just fun to watch, as you'll hear in my explanation. This week's YouTube channel is called Life at Big Eden, and this is about quilting, but it's something a little bit different. So if you're not even a quilter, I think you might enjoy this. What the person who puts this up, he is a quilter, and I think he's won awards. He has many, many beautiful quilts that are original designs, but he videotapes at extremely fast speed his process of building a quilt from beginning to end, and it's just fascinating to watch that process. Also, he does interviews with other quilters, and he puts his videos into natural settings. He's actually using his sewing machine. He's out quilting on the side of a lake, in a forest, out in natural surroundings. So his cinematography is really beautiful as well. So if you want something a little different that, yes, is about quilting, but is not made just for quilters, then check out Life at Big Eden. So you'll find the link for Life at Big Eden in the show notes below. You're also going to find a link for Stephen and Walter Live. I was going to spend a fair amount of time yesterday talking about, from a retired teacher's point of view, what's wrong with teachers going and kids going back to school in this COVID environment. I did talk about that, but I did it very quickly because we got into discussions about all kinds of other things on there as well, and that's fine by me. But yeah, for any teachers out there that are going back to school, you have my complete and utter support and sympathy. I am so glad I am retired and don't have to face that new environment teachers are walking into. I really feel that here in our own province, at least in our province, that teachers have been hung out to dry by all the administrative forces, by the government, by the school boards, by the teachers' unions, and by parents. They're throwing teachers in the pathway of danger. And teachers, being what teachers are facing it with a strong front. But I know inside they have doubts, they have worries, they have fears for their own safety and for the safety of their students. And at least in my province, as far as I'm concerned, we have a solution to it. But the government, for some reason, won't go with it. And that is, with all the money they are saying they are throwing to the education system to combat this disease, they could be channeling that money into virtual learning, making sure every kid has access to computer technology and the internet, and it can work. And it has been proven to work. Yes, it's not the same as a teacher standing up in front of a class, but during this time, it's a measure that could work and would keep everybody healthy. But in my mind, that's logical. In the minds of the powers that be, it isn't. So I don't get that. I could go on and on about this. I did talk a little bit more about this on yesterday's Stephen and Walter Live, so if you're interested, tune into that. But yeah, I'm really glad I'm retired and I don't have to face that. And my thoughts, my prayers, and my hopes are all with the teachers when they go back in our province tomorrow to the classroom. I think some of the school boards are going a week later than that now too, but anyways, it's with them all. Okay, there'll be a link you will find to today's website that I'm going to talk about, and I'll explain why I'm now going to talk about websites in a moment. There is a link to this week's Craft and Chat that we had on Wednesday. I'm just blown away by the people who join that and the things that they are making and doing. It's just exciting stuff. So many ideas, so inspiring. And people are so willing to share and to, support other people on there. So if you have not seen any of the Craft and Chats, we just started them basically, please check out the rebroadcast, the links below. And even better, if you're able to, join us. Our next one is in October, the first Wednesday in October. I'm not sure the date exactly of that. I think it might be October the 6th. Let's pull out the calendar and just take a quick look so I get this right. So, sorry, it is October the 7th. And yeah, October the 7th is when the next one will be. So that's a Wednesday at 1 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. If you can join us, join us. It's great. We're really starting to build a community on that in that format. It's a Zoom format. And I will post the Zoom link the week before in the show notes for this vlog and for Stephen and Walter Live and within an Idiot Quilter if I do one that particular time period. Also, there is another link to my group, the Art Journal group that we used to meet once every month and work on our projects and things and learn some new techniques and share new ideas and inspiration. Well, now we've transferred that into the virtual environment and it's been going along very nicely. We had a guest speaker this week, and she happens to be the owner of our local scrapbooking store. Shouldn't call it a scrapbooking store anymore because she has branched out into the world of mixed media, and she talks about that during the broadcast. Really, she talks about how she is surviving during this terrible time and how she's bringing new things into the store to keep everybody, inspired and excited about their crafting. So do check that out. Plus, everybody on there is talking about their projects, some great ideas, some great projects, and some really interesting products. So check out the rebroadcast. And if you are interested in joining our Art Journal group, there are 9 of us in the group. We've been together for about 3 years, but we are welcome to anybody else that would like to join us. It's a non-threatening, very informal environment. It's an environment where we do not talk about COVID or politics at all. Nothing in there. I could call it drama-free, but I don't want to use a phrase that Barb Owen uses on her Drama-Free Fridays, so I don't want to steal that from her. But the same kind of thing. We just talk about crafting and any kind of crafting. Everything from sewing, quilting, right through to paper crafts, scrapbooking, card making, you name it. It's all art as far as I am concerned. So check it out and consider joining us. And if you do want to join us, you would need the link to the Zoom when it comes out. So if you drop me an email, I can send it to you when it's available. And my email address is at the end of this video. So think about it. Okay, so I think that's all about what's in the resource notes. So that takes us to what's pissing me off this week. Well, this really got my goat when I heard about this. You know, of course, how could you not, because I mentioned it all the time, that my local sewing store, Ultimate Sewing, where I get all my stuff, where Walter and I buy everything that we need, or fabric, or thread, or sewing machines, everything. And they're here in my town, and they're a great store, and I have nothing but good things to say about the store, and about the staff, and about the owner, Shirley. Shout out to Shirley. You've heard me shout out Shirley many times before, because Shirley has done many, many things for me, all of which I appreciate. And it's not just me that Shirley and the staff there support. They support anybody who comes into that store. It's a friendly environment. They're helpful. There is no such thing as a stupid question to them. They will help you out and go to the nth degree to make sure you get the answers you're looking for. And having said that, this is why this piece of news, excuse me, hiccups, that I just heard really upsets me. So, on Saturday, we happened to be down by the Ultimate Sewing. Jeez, the hiccups, bad. And Walter just needed some bobbin thread. So, you know, we didn't have an appointment, but Shirley does allow some people to come in if the store doesn't have its capacity number, the new restrictions from COVID business. She'll allow them to come in and shop without an appointment. When we go down to shop, we usually make an appointment because we know we're going to be there for, you know, half an hour or 45 minutes, something like that. But on this particular occasion, Walter just needed some bobbins. He knew exactly where they were. It was an in and out situation. So I did not go into the store with him because that's an extra body, right? And I didn't really need anything, and we just had gone on a little bit of a spree, which I'm going to talk about a little later, somewhere else. So, you know, I already sort of put out a lot of cash on things, so I was holding back. So we went into the store, and of course the ladies that were working there all greeted him. And there's a classroom in this store as well. It's kind of off from the main part of the store. And one of the employees was in there, and she didn't have her mask on. She had it right beside her, but she didn't have it on. Well, she was the only one in that room, and it's a big room. And as soon as she saw Walter, she says, "Oh," she says, "you caught me with my mask off." And she immediately put it back on, right? And Walter said, "Well, there's nobody here," kind of a thing, you know, he was wearing his mask, of course, and they were quite a ways apart from each other. So everything was being done right, okay? And she says, "Oh, well, don't report me." And Walter says, "I would never do that." "Why? Have you had problems?" She says, "Yep. Apparently, there have been people that have put in complaints to the officials about violation of the rules for COVID." Well, that's ridiculous, because they don't violate those rules. I have been in the store many times now since, you know, they lifted the restrictions enough that you could go in. They only allow so many people in the store. The help are all wearing masks. You know, you're supposed to, there's sanitizer there. You sanitize your hands. Yeah, it's all being done. So why would somebody report them? Now, here's the other thing that really gets me, is the people that are reporting them, what's up their nose about this? This is a family-owned business. When you start dealing with them in that business, you become family too. At least that's the way it feels. I told you, they are very helpful. They're very friendly. They do whatever they can for you. And you believe me, if you're working with the public in retail, It's not the easiest thing in the world. I know because I did that for a couple of years after I retired at Carol's store. And there are stupid people, okay? Like I think I've told you before about the people who come in to, or came into the scrapbooking store, and they go, yeah, I saw this thing on YouTube and I wondered if you have it. And you'd ask them questions like, well, what was it called? Well, I don't remember, but it was a thing. Yeah, okay, what did it do? Well, I'm not really sure, but I really want it. Yeah, you think I'm making that up. I am not. I am not making that up. And I said this one time, I digress a little bit, but I said this one time to one of the ladies that work at the fabric store, and she says, oh yeah, we'll have somebody come in and they'll say, okay, I'm out of fabric and I just want to know if you had some more of it. And they'll say, well, what was it? Well, I bought it here about 5 years ago. Okay. Well, right there off the bat, your red light goes off because you know that you probably can't get it, because that's the way fabric works. They only make so much of it in a line, and when it's gone, it's pretty much gone. There's only certain ones that are pretty standard that they keep making over and over again. She says, and so the lady at the store said to her, well, what was the name of the manufacturer? Do you know, or the designer? Well, I don't really remember, but it was yellow. Well, now you see, now at this point, I wouldn't have been as patient and go, I would have said, oh yeah, well, we can't get it. As simple as that. But they don't dare. They turn around and say, okay, well, did it have a pattern? I think it did. Well, what was the pattern? Well, it was little like dots or squares, or could have been floral. Do you have a piece with you? A little scrap piece? No, I didn't. I didn't have any left. Yeah, I know you didn't have any left, but you didn't keep a scrap in case you needed more of it? No, well, I haven't worked on this quilt in a couple of years, and I just pulled it out of the closet, and I don't have any of this fabric. So do you have it? At that point, they probably go to the computer and start looking through pages and pages and pages of fabric. And if this person doesn't know really what it looked like, can't describe it, well, what a waste of time. And yet, the staff there will do that. They will. That, as far as I'm concerned, that goes above and beyond what your duty is. Like I said, I would have right after about the second sentence went, yeah, that's discontinued. I'm sorry. But no, they have all the patience in the world, and they treat each customer special, and they treat each customer like they are a friend. They call them by their name. That's not easy to do, trying to remember people's names. And, they'll try to ask them, some personal questions about what they're working on. Make them feel like they're not walking into some place that wants your money, some place that wants to help you, to be supportive, to be your friend. Okay? So these are the same people, the customers, that have had that kind of treatment, who are reporting the store for violations? Wow. Talk about Benedict Arnold's. Stick a knife in your back. How does that make the owner of the store and her staff feel? Well, I'm pretty sure I know how that would make them feel. How would it make you feel if somebody that you've been kind to, that you've done everything you can to help them out, turns around and just slaps you across the face? How would you feel? So, yes, I think, if businesses are blatantly disregarding the restrictions, the government guidelines and restrictions during this time of COVID, yes, I think they should be reported. I walk into a Walmart. I walk into a Home Depot. We went into Home Depot a few days ago. They had the standard signage up, 6 feet apart, wear a mask. There's a bottle of sanitizer at the front door. They recommend that you use it, but there is nobody counting the number of people who come into the store. There is nobody making sure you use hand sanitizer. There's nobody making sure that you are following social distancing. The employees themselves are wearing masks below their nose. We saw several of them like that. Is anybody reporting them? I don't think so. I don't think so. And the government doesn't seem, if they are being reported, I don't think the government's going in to those big stores and, you know, fining them or warning them or anything. But they're flocking right into the little mom and pops. Really. So I say to those people that have turned in Ultimate Sewing, who have done this, F off. Yes, F off. Get the hell out. Go somewhere else. Your business isn't worth the aggravation. You are a bitch. And I'm going to say something right now that some of you are going to get upset with. Most of the clientele that comes into a quilting store are female. So the odds are that the people that are complaining are female. And I have heard women tell me on more than one occasion in various environments that women can be nasty to other women over the slightest things. And I have seen that in the classes that I have taken. I have seen how they will turn on each other. Am I being sexist? I'm trying not to be sexist, but quite frankly, men don't do that with other men. They don't, in my experience. Okay, I can see the emails coming in now, the comments. You can write your comments. I will still ignore them because this is what I have observed and I believe. Okay? And I think that's even worse in the case of Ultimate Sewing. That sisters are turning on sisters, in a sense. So, I would suggest this. If you have a concern when you go into a mom and pop shop about what they are doing, that you might want to just quietly ask why. Just find the owner or whatever, staff person, and just say, oh, I noticed that this and this was happening and I'm just wondering, you know, why? Or, you know, maybe you didn't see the fact that you've got, me didn't understand how many should be in the store or whatever, or say to them from a personal point of view, it makes me feel a little uncomfortable with this. But not suddenly just go right off the deep end and file a formal complaint with the authorities. That's just nasty. So, anyways, if you're the kind of person that wants to be nasty, get off my channel. You okay? All right, enough for that. All right, let's go to product reviews. So, as I said last week, we did do a little trip to a quilt store that's in a place about 45 minutes, 50 minutes away from us. Might have been an hour. It's called the Quilt Store, but I have ordered from them before online, and I've mentioned them before and how great their service has been. So I really want to go to their store because I'd heard good things about it as well. And yes, it is a big quilting store. They had a fairly good selection of fabrics, great selection of notions and things. So I did buy stuff. Now their prices are not bad. It depends on what you were buying, but you know, it was in the ballpark. So I did buy a few things. So let me show you what I bought. Of course, I bought more Christmas fabric because I saw this. Now, at first glance, it's not really strictly Christmas fabric. It's kind of wintry, late fall kind of fabric, but it's got that look to it because it's got a bit of a gold thread, metallic thread in it as well. And I thought that would pair up very nicely with this. And what I have in mind for these two fabrics are napkins with some embroidery on them. I think they could look very elegant. And I think I would do one side in this and the other side of the napkin in this. So that's why I got that. I got a couple of meters of each of those. And then I saw, were these from there too? Yeah, I think I did. Yeah, I saw these. And basically, they're Christmas. They could work in other things as well. And maybe more napkins out of these as well. The other thing is they did have wide back fabric, and I'm always on the lookout for wide back fabric because that's what I like to use on the backing of my quilt, so I don't have to piece the backing. And I found this. Now, I would not use this. This is wide back, but I would not use this probably on a quilt backing. But I like to have this kind of thing on hand as background fabric because I use a lot of white or variations of white for that. And so the price was pretty good on this. Actually, it was a little better than I'm used to paying at my usual store for that. So I think I picked up 2 meters of that as well. Usually I would buy 3 meters of wide back fabric because that is usually what you need for most quilts. But in this case, since I'm not really going to use it as backing fabric, I'll use it as background, I didn't buy as much. And then, okay, I have said before I'm not into panels, and now suddenly I'm getting into panels. So I saw this. It's a Christmas panel, and I thought that would make a really quick and cute wall hanging. So that's what I'm going to do with it. I'll have to add some borders to it. I'm going to keep it fairly simple so that, you know, this part is the part your eyes will focus on. Of course, I'll have to figure out how to quilt it. We'll see if I get this done. But I liked it. It just grabbed my attention, so I went with it. And oh yeah, and I bought this. What is this, you would say? Well, this is a marking pencil, which is water soluble, apparently, and it has multiple colors. So you remember those old pens we used to have as kids that had like 4 colors in them? You turn the knob on the top and you popped out the color. Well, basically, essentially, this is how this works. So there's my red, and put it in and click it over. And this should be the blue. Yeah. Now, I'm going to have to test it. I'm always on the lookout for a decent marking tool that will come out of a quilt easily enough. Generally speaking, I'd like it to come out of the quilt by heat. And I have friction pens and all that. And there's, you know, but ones that aren't going to leave a mark or a shadow on the quilt. And that's not easy to find. If you're the kind of person that washes your quilts after you make them, then yes, and that's probably what this will be good for. I probably should do that. I have this fear that it'll come unraveled, but you know, I'm very careful about my stitching in the whole bit, so I shouldn't have any fear of that. But that's still left over from my early days of quilting. But anyways, I saw it. It was not that expensive. It was about $11, and so I thought I'd pick it up and try it. The other thing that I did buy was an embroidery pattern. This is machine embroidery. It comes on a CD-ROM, old technology, I know, and then you have to transfer it to your USB that plugs into your sewing machine, at least in the case of my sewing machine, to work with these patterns. But it's a Dresden pattern. Now, I have a Dresden pattern like this, but not with the Christmas design. You see, it's got, oops, a little glare there, Christmas designs, shows you on the back. And I've done one of these before. It wasn't a Christmas one. It's actually a table runner that I have upstairs on my dining room table that I made some time ago. It's a combination of embroidery and machine applique. And so when I saw it, I mean, I could have ordered this online and got it instantaneously. And I'm not sure if I would have saved any money by buying it this way, because I think this was about $49 Canadian. And by the time you're done buying it from the same company, which is a company that OESD, I think that stands for the Oklahoma Embroidering something. So embroidery and sewing design or something like that. That's where I buy a lot of my embroidery patterns. But it's an American company, so with the exchange rate, it would probably come out to about the same price as what I paid for this. It was there. They had a lot of them, actually. So I thought I'd pick it up. Now, just to show you what it will look like, I printed out its little booklet as well that's included with it, and so there's the designs as well. Now they're showing it as a table topper. I would probably make it into a table runner, but you can make it into a wall hanging, you can make it into an actual quilt. It's very versatile. So I got that as well. It's another project for Christmas. I have so many projects for Christmas, it'll probably take me 2 years to get them all done. And speaking of Christmas projects, well, I had to have these. These are little freestanding lace ornaments. I bought 2 of them online. They were about $5 a piece for the design. I've done these kind of things before. Actually, I have ones that are angels, which I'm going to make some more of for this Christmas. But these are great if you want to put them on the top of a gift, or you want to give them as a little hostess present. You know, you can hang them on your tree, hang them on a gift, hang them wherever you want to hang them. I think they're kind of nice. So I got those. Okay, I think that is all the new new. One more thing that I got. So, I like steampunk. I mean, I'm not majorly into steampunk, but I like steampunk. And they happen to have some Christmas steampunk designs. And I really think these are quite nice. What I did was I bought 4 of them. The 4 of them are here. And I stitched them all out onto one piece of fabric just to see what they would look like. So I am thinking that this would make a nice table runner. Not just like laid out like this. Although I'm thinking I could use this as a centerpiece of the table runner and then put some of the other ones outside of that or whatever. I don't know. But I do have a couple of friends in my art journaling group who are into steampunk, and I'm thinking that I can transfer, they're not quilters, but I could scan these and make these into cuttable pieces. And I might just do that and see how that works out. But yeah, and I was thinking it looked good too. Table runner and napkins to go with it. I might use a couple of these designs, the ones with the holly leaves and the one that looks like the snowflake. Those might make nice little designs on a napkin, down in the corner of a napkin, possibly using that fabric that I showed you earlier. So we'll see. So many things to do, so little time. Like I've said many, many times before, I am never bored. Never bored. Sometimes overwhelmed with the number of craft things I'm doing, but never bored. Okay, so that takes us to what would normally be the book of the week. Well, guess what? I've finished all my books. Yep. I've reviewed every one of them, my craft books. Anyways, so I thought maybe it's time to turn my attention to websites that I go to often or that I find that I think are very useful. So the very first one that I want to talk about today is called Chatterbox Quilts. Now I want to talk about this one because my friend Kim has created this site, and it's a membership site. It does have a public side to it as well, but you know that I belong to this group, the Quilter's Way, and it is really great. If you are somebody who's a quilter, it's excellent value for the money. And you've heard me talk about it many times before. But she does have a website called Chatterbox Quilts. And that has lots of information and links to her YouTube and her Facebook page, all that kind of stuff. And if you're just getting into quilting, I would strongly recommend checking this website out. It's well laid out. It's easy to find information on. Yeah, it's a very good resource. And the other thing I like about it too is that it is Canadian. And I'm all about supporting Canadian stores, Canadian websites, anything Canadian. I think we need to do that in our country. We are not a big country in terms of population. I mean, 34 million people compared to the United States at 330 or more million. have a population 10 times our size, so they can support worldwide their companies and industries because of that number. Not so much in Canada. Can we do that? So it really behooves us, I love that word, behoove. It behooves us not to support our own country first. And so that's what I'm suggesting here. By you going to Chatterbox Quilts, you're supporting a Canadian website. But you won't regret it, I can tell you that. Okay, so that's this week's review of a website, and so I'll see next week. I may do another one. I don't know. I'll see how this works out as far as a new section to my vlog in place of the book review, because I'm out of books to review. Okay, so that takes us to works in process, and what I have this week is part 4 of the book house. Okay, now we've come to the stage where we need to do something with the drawer. And my thought is, since this house is going to sit on top of this drawer, something like that, then maybe on this bottom piece we could put a little picket fence all the way around, and then put some grassy looking stuff along that. And I've done the grass, I've cut the grass and the fence using the Cricut Maker, and I can put a second layer, overlap that, and the house will sit in the middle and it'll look kind of cute. So that's what I'm going to do now. Now what I've done is, as I said, I cut the fence pieces out using my Cricut Maker and the grass pieces as well, and I have distressed all of them with the Stays On Timber Brown ink that I used on the house edges and things like that, just to give them a little bit more depth. And so now what I'm going to do is glue them all the way around. Now I've taken the drawer out because what I'm thinking with this is I'm going to see whether or not I want to put the fence in front of it. I don't think I do. And also that'll leave this open for pulling out. But we'll see how it looks. I may have to put something else on the front of this. So I'm going to glue this all down and come back and show you the end result. Okay, so I have the drawer part all decorated, and I've mounted the house on top of it, and this is how it looks. So on the front I put some of that grass just to break up the black, and here you can see on the side my fence and my grasses. I left a black piece on the bottom all the way around. I thought about sticking something there that looks like pebbles or something like that, but I've decided no, just leave it alone the way it is. I think it's turning out really quite nice. So now I've got to put together the signatures for the drawer, and then of course the main little mini scrapbook that goes inside the house. Okay, so next week we carry on, and as I said before, I really enjoyed doing this project. It was a lot of fun, and it gave me a lot of ideas for future projects. Okay, so updates or events in the past week. My mother, she's not answering her phone. I'm pissed. I talked a lot about that yesterday on Stephen and Walter Live, so I don't think I need to go over it anymore. If you want to be bored to tears about my mother, check out Stephen and Walter Live. It's just very frustrating that she is not answering her phone, and I really don't know what to do about it. I'm going to continue to try this week to get a hold of her, and I guess what it's really going to come down to is I'm going to have to bother the staff. I don't want to bother the staff. Like, what I mean by that is I would have to call them at the nurse's station on her floor and say, look, I'm trying to talk to my mother. She's not answering the phone. Could you go into her room, make sure she's positioned near her phone, and let her know I'm going to be calling her back in 5 minutes. That's just an aggravation that the staff there do not need, and I don't want to put them through that. And the only reason my mother isn't answering the phone is because that's what my mother does. If people don't do stuff for her, even as simple as picking up a phone, she won't do it. So now I did have one thought. I thought that maybe somehow she turned off or turned way down so she can't hear it, the ringer. on the phone. She does push the wrong buttons at times on the phone. So I might, after today, if she doesn't answer when I try her, and I try her a couple of times a day, if she doesn't answer today, then maybe tomorrow I'll call over there and I'll ask them to check her phone to see if that is the case, because that could be a possibility. I don't know how easy it is to turn down the ringer on it though, and here's the funny thing. We needed a new phone in the bedroom, so we bought the same phone as my mother has, simply because we then know exactly what to tell her if there's a problem with the phone, if she's hit a wrong button or something. So we can duplicate the problem at our end, since we can't go in and actually physically be there to make the to help her out with it. Then we could, give her instructions over the phone how to change it. Of course, she'd have to answer the phone. It's a catch-22, isn't it? But anyways, it has me very frustrated right now. Moving on. Okay, I told you about the trip to the quilt store, as it's called in that town, and I don't think there's anything else to tell you about that. And I've already mentioned our art journal group's Zoom. So those are all things that went on in the past week. And we kind of talk about now going, ooh, it's an outing. Like, do we need anything from the grocery store? Ooh, it's an outing. Yeah, never thought I'd get so excited about going to the grocery store to pick up a couple of green peppers. But that's what we've come down to, isn't it? So, but speaking of green peppers, segue into, I made a little video showing you our garden, our container gardening. Now, this was done on a whim. There wasn't really a lot of thought put into it or the planning, but we have really enjoyed this summer. I mean, we've had more salads because our tomatoes and our lettuce, I mean, they just taste different than the stuff in the grocery store. Fresher. We've got our herbs going, and we've got onions now too, as well, green onions with it. The shame here is that this isn't going to last much longer, because we are now moving close to the beginning of fall and the weather's going to get colder, and in the next 2 months, well, less than 2 months, nothing's going to grow. It's all going to die on us. We are thinking of trying to bring in the lettuce and see what happens with it indoors. I don't think it's going to be successful, but come next year, we are going to put a little bit more thought into this and really do this, try spreading out the crop a little bit, like a few more things in there, and doing it all through containers. And the reason we do container gardening is because we have a big backyard that is dead. Basically, grass doesn't grow there anymore, just weeds. And that's because we've never done anything with the backyard, because we don't use the backyard. But we have all this space, we could build a garden in there. But the problem is we have bunnies, because we live on the edge of a forest, and the bunnies come and eat everything. And I am not going to build chicken wire enclosure around a garden, because that's just a pain in the butt. But with it up on our deck, which is 1 story up, bunnies can't climb. So the only problem we've had this year is just chipmunks. They've been eating our cherry tomatoes that are actually in our backyard, on the ground level, so they can get at it. Well, actually, chipmunks can get at them up on our deck too, because they can climb, the little suckers. And what they do is they pick off a cherry tomato, they eat half of it, and then they get rid of the rest of it. So we find these half-eaten cherry tomatoes in our backyard all the time. Occasionally they get in underneath in our patio area, because the little suckers can get anywhere. They crawl under the doorway in there, have a little munch in there, and just leave it sitting there on the carpet, and off they go again. They're so cute, those chipmunks, and so destructive. But anyways, it's been a great experiment, so I thought I'd show you what it looks like.
We decided this year of COVID to do something a little bit different that we've never really done before. We decided to plant a container garden on our deck. Now, this was more of an experiment than anything else, but we've had really good luck, especially with lettuce and tomatoes. We've picked quite a few, like well over 100 cherry tomatoes, and the lettuce just keeps on coming. apparently if you don't pull it up by the root, you just take the leaves, it'll continue to produce leaves throughout the summer. And it has been. It's been a bumper crop. The flowers that you see in these pictures, one set of those was given as a gift to us by our neighbors, and Walter went out and got another one like it. Because they're just so pretty, and they do very well on our deck, which has a western exposure. So there's a lot of heat during the mid-afternoon that hits our deck. We do have some herbs in there. We have oregano, we have thyme, we have basil as well, or basil, depending on how you say it. And it's just been really nice. The lettuce and the tomatoes especially have tasted just so much different than that which we were used to getting at the grocery store. So much so that we have been really enjoying salads throughout the summer. And although we do eat salad on a regular basis, we've been eating it more regularly. And tomatoes, the tomatoes just taste fantastic. And we always get tomatoes from the grocery store, but these ones just are not even in comparison in taste. I just like eating them, washing off a few of them, and just eating them like a snack. So this has been a really great experiment, and we're going to continue with this next year and get a little bigger and a little better. Now you might say, well, why don't you put a garden in your backyard? And we do have the room for something like that because we do not use the backyard. And to be honest, the backyard is pretty much a disaster. It's mostly weeds. But the problem is we live right next door to a forest, and there are a ton of bunnies in there, and the bunnies will come and eat the stuff in your garden. And we've got squirrels and chipmunks too, and they kind of enjoy gnawing at things in your garden as well. Now, yes, we could put chicken wire up around it and the whole bit, but our backyard, as I said, is not that pretty a sight as it is now, and that's just going to make it even more ugly. So I think we'll experiment further with container gardening, put in a few other things besides the lettuce and the tomatoes, but those for sure, and the herbs. Now I'm just wondering, we might do a little experiment and see if we can bring the lettuce when the weather gets a little cooler indoors and see if we can continue growing it indoors. I have my doubts that that's going to work, but we'll try it anyways and see. So yeah, this summer it's been really a great experience with container gardening, and as I said, next year bigger and better.
Okay, so I was talking about our container gardening outside. Well, this is our first green onion, which Walter just picked fresh. We have more of them. A little late though. I thought onions should come earlier.
Yeah, well, I only planted them halfway through the season.
Oh. Well, anyways, it's our first green onion.
Okay, so what's coming up this week? Well, I don't know. Nothing too terribly exciting. I'm going to carry on working on my haunted mansion. And I suppose maybe get around to getting that hanging system up for my wall hangings. Put that up and investigate a little further some ideas that Walter's had and I've had about what we can create for hanging more quilts. And yeah, that's about the excitement of the week. Oh, I'm getting my hair cut on Wednesday. Yay, it's an outing. That kind of thing. So yeah, there'll probably be an episode of The Idiot Quilter sometime this week as well. And yeah, that's about it for now. So I hope you have a good week. I hope you have a healthy week and you stay healthy. If you are a teacher, well, I wish you the best of luck, and I hope you stay safe, and I hope your students are safe too, going back into this environment. And well, stay happy, stay healthy, stay in, and we'll see you next week. Bye-bye for now.